Hi everyone, my name is Jen and this is Bee's House of Plants, where we talk about things houseplant and home design. Welcome back. Today I want to share with you my list of the top 5 fastest growing houseplant in my collection. I think a plant being fast growing is like the #1 criteria of whether or not I will like that plant or not, because it doesn't matter how beautiful a plant is. If it doesn't grow and it puts out like one leaf a year, it'll just sit there and I'll get bored of it really quickly. So let's get right into it. Okay, so I'm gonna try to go from like least fastest growing houseplant to fastest growing houseplant. So number 5, this is the Peperomia Obtusifolia. The nickname for this plant is baby rubber tree, and I think that is a very fitting nickname. I find that the care for this plant is much more similar to the Ficus elastica or the regular rubber tree than it is to other types of peperomias that I've had in the past before. The main difference between the Peperomia Obtusifolia and a lot of the varieties of Peperomia caparata, which is the other type of peperomia that is widely accessible, like your Peperomia frost, your Peperomia luna, all of those are Peperomia caparata, is that the leaves are significantly thicker. They are almost rubber-like and they store a lot of water. So that means that it's very easy for you to tell when this plant needs to be watered, and you can tell by picking one of the bottom leaves, so like not one of the ones on top, but one of the ones closest to the base, and you could do the bend test. So if it's incredibly flexible for you to bend like this, then that means that the plant has used the water that it has stored in the leaves and it could use a watering. I would probably actually give this one a couple more days. Like when they are like very thirsty, they are incredibly flexible and soft, and if you water it and wait for a couple hours, you can definitely tell the difference, because then the leaves will become very like inflexible, and you know won't be able to bend it at all without feeling like the leaf is going to snap. As for lighting requirements, I don't think that this plant needs too much water, or I'm sorry, too much light. I have a couple in different east facing windows and it seems to be incredibly happy there. This one is currently growing underneath a grow light on my plant shelf. I also have one that is pulled back from a south facing window and it seems to be growing just fine as well. Obviously the ones that have variegation need more light, so there was a while there where I put this plant in a very dark corner and it started to lose variegation, so this is when I started putting it in a dark corner, so the variegation became less prominent, and then it put out an all green leaf, and then I moved it because I wanted the variegation to come back, and it has slowly come back with this leaf, and now the newest leaf definitely looks like it has a lot of variegation again, and these do come out very small and then grow in size over time. This is also pretty easy to propagate. My favorite way of propagating Peperomia Obtusifolia is just via water propagation. You don't need a node when you propagate peperomias. You can even propagate with just a leaf by cutting the leaf like this and then sticking the cut sides into water or soil. They root up incredibly easily. So Peperomia Obtusifolia. Okay, so in the number 4 spot, I'm going to give this to my variegated string of hearts, or my Cereopigia woodii variegata. I repotted this recently and it was incredibly hard to repot. The only reason I repotted it is because I didn't like the soil that it was in. It has become very compacted over time and sort of hydrophobic, so the water wasn't absorbing into the soil. It was just kind of like sitting on top, so I decided to repot it. And I will probably never repot this one again. It was incredibly difficult to do so, and honestly, I think it would take years and years for you to ever feel the need to repot a plant like this, because the root system is incredibly shallow. Like each vine like this would have like maybe like 2, 3 very short thin roots. So you know, you're probably never going to have an issue with it being root bound. I feel like the only time that you would never need to switch out the soil is if it has become, you know, decomposed over time. Anyways, that's not what we're talking about here. So Variegated String of Hearts is an incredibly fast growing houseplant. I got this November of last year, and when I got it, like, it wasn't trailing at all. There were like a couple hearts on top and that's it. And so far it's been what, almost a year, and mine is tangled. Detangle. I'm trying to show you off. Okay, we're back in business. As I was saying, when I first got this plant, November of last year, nothing was trailing. It was just like a couple of hearts on top, and it's been about a year. This is how long it has grown, and technically it's been longer. I chopped and propagated a couple of the vines pretty recently, so it's probably, if I just left it alone, it probably would have been longer than this even. The biggest issue I have with this plant is just the amount of light that it needs. I've always had to grow this plant under grow lights because I don't really have any windows that are that would give this plant enough light just in the rooms that I have. It would need a lot of light, and even direct light. Even a lot of people I know grow this plant in their south facing windows, and also a lot of people grow this plant outdoors in the summertime because it does need that much light. However, if you do want to put this plant outside or even like directly on a south facing window, I would slowly acclimatize it to that amount of direct lighting over time, because if you just chuck it there one day, it'll likely burn because it's just not accustomed to that much light or that much direct light. So, you know, put a couple hours there, move it back, put, you know, longer hours of intervals over time. So the biggest issue that I've had with this plant also is that it becomes bare on top if the light isn't directly over top. So it really needs to be grown, for me, directly underneath a grow light, not even like close to a grow light, but like directly underneath a grow light, or else it'll start becoming bare on top. But it is an incredibly fast growing houseplant, and it's one of those houseplants where you kind of just look away and then you look back and suddenly it's grown like 6 inches. So I think it's a lot of fun. So if you can get your hands on one of these, I found, apparently it's actually getting quite hard to find string of hearts. So I've heard, I would recommend you get one of these, or even the regular one, the non-variegated version. The non-variegated version, I believe, grows faster than the variegated version as well. So yeah, lots of fun. Okay, so the number 3 spot, I'm going to give it to my Raffiti Tetrasperma. So don't judge this list by the specific specimen. I grew this Raffiti Tetrasperma from a teeny tiny 2-leaf cutting. This is the original leaf right here. I think back in like February-ish is when I received it in the mail, and it was like half dead. But I rooted it, now it's fully rooted, and now it's pumping out leaves left and right, so I am quite proud of my plant. But these have become extremely accessible and also quite affordable, so I don't think you should have any problems finding a full pot of these at your local nursery or even online. They're everywhere now. If you obviously get a full pot of it, they, you know, would be actively growing, and so you would get like a wall full of this in no time. I think they pump out like a leaf a week, which is a very impressive rate. I'm excited for this baby to get bigger because, you know, obviously this has been a labor of love, and it also is pushing out bigger leaves as the plant grows, so I'm quite happy about that. I do have this one on a stake, and you do want to give this some kind of support of some kind. I've seen people even attach it to their wall. Most people have to do a trellis just because it grows so fast that one stake is not enough for most people to have their plant climb up on. So, you know, I'm excited for that problem in the future. I'm currently growing this one in LECA. I do have a second one that is in soil. I do find that these can be a little bit prone to root rot, which is why I've decided to grow this one in LECA. It has responded very, very well to LECA. Haven't had any issues at all. And the other one that I have, I put it in a terracotta pot so that it can wick the water a little bit quicker. So far, that has definitely done it. I haven't seen any more root rot issues from my soil one since doing that. So yeah, these are also pretty easy to propagate. You would do it like how you would propagate a pothos. So you'd just find a node. Most of the time these put out a lot of aerial roots, so it'll be easy for you to tell where the nodes are. Just cut below a node, stick in some water, and it'll root up, no problem. So yeah, the Raffiti Tetrasperma. I don't think you can make a list like this without including the golden pothos, the Peperomia aureum. This is the OG plant that everyone has for good reason, because it is an extremely fast growing houseplant. If you want jungalow vibes, this is the plant that will give you jungalow vibes, because it'll cover your wall in no time at all. I started wrapping one of my golden pothos around like the curtain railings and along my wall, and it has really made my space look like, you know, a person that has a lot of plants to like jungalow, and I really love it. I do think that the golden pothos specifically grows a lot quicker than other varieties of Peperomia aureum. I think that's my dad's phone. I do think that the golden pothos grows quicker than other forms or other cultivars of Peperomia aureum. I think that just comes down to how much green this plant has, versus other kinds which has more variegation, so they grow just slightly slower. Although pretty much all Peperomia aureums are extremely fast growers. Can't go wrong with this. Highly flexible plant. Put it anywhere and it'll like do good. My grandma currently has one in a zero light situation with just a regular light bulb, and hers is not dead yet. So I think that tells you what you need to know about the golden pothos. Okay, so now in my number one spot, I'm gonna give this to a plant that I did not expect to be this fast growing. This is my Tradescantia tricolor. Look at it. So I recently converted it to LECA, and it grows so quickly. I think the reason that it's trying to grow like in this like U shape is because the grow light is on top. So instead of trailing, it wants to grow up, which looks kind of funny, but it's fine. It's still cute. I got this from Trader Joe's a while back in a tiny 2-inch pot, and then I took some cuttings from it and then I rooted them in water, and then from the water I decided to transfer them into LECA, and that did so well. That transfer from water to LECA went really well, so I decided to just take the plunge and also transfer my main pot of the Tradescantia from soil to LECA, and I just, you know, put them in the same pot, and it has really taken off. I don't know, okay, there's obviously water in here, so I don't know if you can tell, and I don't want to tip the water, but there are roots all the way at the bottom, and they're like swirling at the bottom, so these root up incredibly easily. I have taken more cuttings from this. I take cuttings from this like I feel like every other week at this point, because I want to fill out the base a little bit, and they're just so easy to propagate that it really doesn't hurt at all. I'm kind of having a grow light issue, so these are currently under grow lights, and some of the leaves have burned a little bit from the exposure to grow light. But when I had this in my east facing window, I did notice that the variegation was reverting, so I wanted to give it a little bit more light. So I'm planning on maybe just trimming off the leaves that have burned from the grow light. Like, let me see this. I'm pretty sure like this is from being so close to a grow light. I'm planning on just maybe trimming off those leaves and then seeing if the plant will acclimate to the grow light, because sometimes it's not that the plant can't handle that amount of light, it's just that they're not used to getting so much direct light. So I think I'm gonna try that because I want, you know, more variegation, obviously. So since my plant is in LECA, I really don't ever worry about drying it out or anything like that. Okay, so that's it for me. Let me know in the comments below what your fastest growing houseplants are. Maybe I'll do a part 2. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!